Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Brownstone. You are in for an amazing treat today. Let's get started. I'm Paulette. First of all, I'm a part of Brownstone Worldwide, and you are in the Brownstone Worldwide virtual studios today for an amazing interview with a gentleman that you've probably seen. You just didn't pay much attention to it until today. Today, we're going to be talking to none other than Omarr Salgado. You can find him everywhere, and we're going to be talking to him today. But first, before we get started, let's tell you who he is and what he's been up to all over the place. This brother has a legacy that is absolutely amazing, and he's continuing to grow with that. Omarr A. Salgado is the Chief Executive Officer and is the founder of Fast Forward Films, Grown Man Sport, or GMS, and New Swing Entertainment. He's a serial entrepreneur and talent magnet. Additionally, he's a longtime music lover, artist, and producer, and also a seasoned artist, writer, and talent scout. So listen, this guy goes back through the music industry about 25 years or more. And that beautiful last name, it actually comes from Yayo Salgado, the Grammy-nominated New Swing Sextet from the 1960s. His great-grandfather was Juan Salgado, down to his father. So listen, we've got Omarr Salgado, who's in the building, but I got to tell you some other things that he's done, ladies and gentlemen, because you are not going to believe this. So when he provided me with his sizzle reel, I realized that I had literally watched films that he had been a part of. So additionally, Mr. Salgado launched a film component to GMS New Swing as of October 2013 with a short film entitled The Tie Never Broken, which was blessed to be featured in Noel Calloway's 2012 award-winning drama Life Love Soul. A Tie Never Broken is a short film about a father showing his son how to deal with frustration. In addition to Tie Never Broken, he also embarked on another film called 2 Days in Harlem. Now, Mr. Salgado is on his way to start some new endeavors that we're going to be talking about with him today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring up Mr. Omarr Salgado. Was that good enough for you, sir? Did I do you justice?
That was an amazing introduction. Thank you so much. You are outstanding at what you do.
Well, thank you so much for that. We appreciate you. Thank you so much once again for hanging out with us today and being a part of our 50 years of hip hop. Now, from what I'm understanding, you have a background in hip hop, but you and I had a conversation prior about how you and I have actually been in the same room and probably crossed paths and talked, and I didn't know. Right. So let's talk about that. You started in hip hop how many years ago? Or do we want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, over 25 years ago, easily. I was with a company called Top 10 Entertainment that managed a group called Trends of Culture. And we were part of that camp. And the group that I was a part of was called Indigo. We had various deals coming about. We even had the opportunity of touching base with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis back then. Nice. We were going to be one of the first hip hop artists on their label alongside Sounds of Blackness and Mint Condition. So that kind of tells you how long ago that was.
Yeah.
But to your point, yes, we have crossed paths back in those days.
Yeah.
I mean, hip hop has just been a part of my life since I can remember. I mean, I remember sitting down as a young kid and my father bought me my first boombox, and I'm listening to Mr. Magic's Rap Attack, and I'm hearing all of these, I'm hearing the Biz Marquies and the Canes and the Rakims and the, all of them. So I just fell in love with the art. I fell in love with the art, and just so people understand what, why this is so significant. We're having this conversation. I mean, they got to know, you part of the Arrested Development. That's a part, Arrested Development. Yeah. So I mean, I was a super fan of your group, back then, and so for us to come full circle and to see where you're at now, to see where I'm at now, and see that, although we're not doing the same thing we were doing back then, that we're still in a place of 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 the passion, that we love, in terms of
Absolutely.
entertainment, right? So
Absolutely.
that's a beautiful thing.
It really, really is. And it's so funny that you brought that up, because I was thinking about that in terms of, talking to all of the people that we're bringing on for this particular special issue. And I wanted to make sure that people understood that it wasn't just about the people that were on stage per se, but how impactful hip hop was to every aspect of people's lives in business and movies. Like, think about it. You remember Breakin'?
Oh yeah.
You remember, oh, you know what I mean? Like all of the films from back in the day to, Spike Lee's career and how it encompassed hip hop, And so, even with the things that you have done in your career, it's all stemmed from this passion and love for this thing called hip hop.
That's right.
And it's really, even with what I'm doing with Brownstone Worldwide and what we have built here, and as it continues to grow, it comes from that root. And so you bring an excellent point to the table, and it is full circle. But here's a question that I have for you. In everything that you've done, somehow you have found yourself, as you started, say, for instance, with this organization, maybe in security or whatever, but it was still an edge of hip hop. And then you moved over here. How did you stay in the game the way that you have? And how did you maneuver and move and build the relationships that you did? Or was it just that you you fell into the right opportunities at the right time?
Well, that's a great question, and I think that our natural progression when you're an artist and when you're doing music and things of that nature, I think at some point, if you're looking to move forward, if you're looking to reinvent yourself in some way, I think naturally a lot of us do gravitate to film because the process is very similar. And I say that in terms of being a creative,
Yeah.
right? Because we're creatives at heart. So the process of creating something kind of remains the same. It's just you're doing it, on a track versus doing it in film, that kind of thing. So for me, I stepped away from music for a long time because I just didn't have faith in it too much anymore. And then I just woke up one day and said I wanted to do a film. And that was the first film that I did with my son, reenacting that moment with my dad. And when I saw the response that I got from that, I said, wow, maybe this is something that I can do.
Okay.
And what I found out is that a lot of the people that I was encountering during my journey with film were people that were coming from the same world I was coming from in music.
Okay.
A lot of us transitioned and went over to different aspects of entertainment, outside of music. So the relationships really kind of, it kind of stayed the same almost in a sense. We were all like trying to figure out what we can do next. And so, I've been blessed to, really be able to hold on to a lot of these great, friendships that I've had, and they have transcended into what I'm doing today.
I love that. And you bring up so many great points. And so I wonder, have I seen the film that you're talking about with you and your son? And I think I may have. Okay, either way, ladies and gentlemen, the brother can truly act. Now that's hard to say, right? Okay. Because I've seen some cats from hip hop, they never need to see the light of another screen. Right. So you're doing an amazing job. Now you're in front of the camera and behind the scenes now. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. And so in terms of that, I'm just going to go back to something that you said and you just grazed over it. And I think we need to touch on this just a little bit, because I think people have a misconception of what was happening when hip hop really started to explode and started to get some kind of more of a global exposure. I would say started in the late 80s, early 90s. We started to see New Jack Swing that came from it. We also saw other portions of the world that started playing music videos and seeing us being played in South Africa. Because I can recall, being in parts of the world where hip hop had never been heard until we showed up at our young age.
Wow.
So here's the question that I have for you, and it's something that we touched on in our initial conversation. So like we did like a pre-green room, folks, but something that you said about us being so young. Would you say that hip hop and the record industry are two separate things? Let me tell you why I'm asking that question. Because so many people that I know that were one-hit wonders or were young and from the streets and didn't know any better, they're broke. They're broken. They're lost and they're destitute. Some never to be found again. Some are suffering from PTSD and seeking therapy daily. Would you say that what we have come through in terms of hip hop itself has been, and the history that we've created? And when I say we, I literally mean that, because we couldn't have done this alone. Would you say that it was a well-bought lesson? And what would you say to young people now who are getting into the hip hop game, who are here now and have no idea about A&R and about, owning their own things and copyrights and things of that nature? What would you say to folks who are new to this game or considering?
Sure. So just touching base on the first aspect of your question, which was whether I felt that hip hop and the industry was two different things.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree with that. I think it is two different things. I think hip hop is the culture. It's what is, is what we did, is what we lived. It's it was a ritual. It was it was just part of our lives, our bloodline. The industry is just that. It's a machine.
Yep.
And it's what was created to gather up this content and literally just exploit it, to be honest with you. That's really what they did with it. They found out our secret sauce and they utilized it for themselves. That's basically what happened. What I would say to young people now this is what I will say, is that the industry has changed dramatically from the days of us, right? It's just really, really different. But the basics of it is still the same. And I even say this to my filmmakers, because as creators, we get caught up in the artistry of what we do.
Yeah.
And we want to be perfectionists at that. But we never consider the business. And the business is more important than anything else, because if your business is not intact, then your art is just going to be going to waste. It's just not going to do anything that it's supposed to do. It's not going to be fulfilling. You're going to be in those, you're going to have that PTSD. You're going to have, you're going to be broke, all of that kind of stuff. So I think it's very important for the younger people nowadays to understand the business, understand ownership, understand, having control of what it is, of the assets that you're bringing to the table, period. The industry is a little bit different now, though, but, so the days of going to the A&R and, sitting down and them, that doesn't even exist anymore.
No.
I remember going to Tommy Boy Records. I remember being in the Mercury offices. I remember, I remember that. And so that is not even non-existent at this point.
Right.
Artists have enough through the gift of technology to be able to go direct to the consumer. They don't need any of the middlemen.
Absolutely.
Right? So as long as you got that intact, as long as you understand that that there's still a lot of hard work that goes into it, and you push forward and you're persistent at what it is that you want to do, I think that you can be successful.
I love that. I love that. And that, it's so funny. It's literally what I say often, is that it was two different paths. Hip hop is absolutely the art. It's the culture. It's all of the things that you're seeing. And, it's really unfortunate, the amount of people that were exploited back in the day. So many of us, from, Arrested Development to other groups, who will probably, go down in history as some of the best.
And let's be clear. It's pardon your wisdom, but let's be clear. Arrested Development was a huge group back then.
Yeah,
You guys were megastars,
we were.
megastars,
Yeah.
literally. You
Yeah.
know, and I'm not saying that lightly. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that lightly, really.
Well, yeah, and I appreciate that, but boy, the stories behind the scenes. We were not so
I can
much
imagine.
exploited, but what I will tell you is we were exhausted. Let's
Mm.
say that, because it was constant go, 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 go. And looking back on it now, listening to what you said helps me to understand that the record labels were trying to milk it for everything that it was worth before, the expiration date, which
And
thank goodness never happened.
and
So,
they still are, and they
yeah.
still are. It still
Mhm.
exists. It,
Yeah.
it, it, it literally still exists. They control the narrative. Unfortunately, the kind of content that's coming out now, the things that we're listening to, the things that we're seeing,
Yeah.
it's just really sad, and it's a shame, and hopefully we can get a hold of that, and we can have more of what we need in our communities versus what they're just giving us and feeding us. That's just bad for our health.
Right. And good point brought up right there. And I know that you're in film, and while we're talking about changing the narrative, and will we see more films from you? Are we going to see any work from you in the future in terms of that? Because like you said, all you're doing is you're taking the energy from being a part of hip hop and it's just transposing into something else as we mature and get older. Right. Because I mean, I don't want to continue to keep performing on somebody's stage. I stopped years ago.
Right.
I'm tired. Okay. It's only so much I can do.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're talking about film and telling the stories that need to be told, what will we see from Omarr Salgado in the next couple of years?
So what I will tell you is that I'm working on a couple of really dynamic projects. I think that are going to be um, very healthy for the community
Mm-hmm.
in regards to just some of the subject matter that I'll be dealing with. I'm a big advocate for mental health, especially for Black men, men of color.
Mm-hmm.
It's something, yeah. So I have a project that I'm working on that really hones in on that. And then there's just some other, like some real stories that I want to tell of some real people. Versus what we see. There's a thin line when it comes to that, because you want to give people opportunity, in the industry, and but at the same time you want to be responsible for what it is that you put out there. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, my personal projects are more geared towards thought-provoking content. That's
Wow.
what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Okay. Now my interest is definitely peaked. Thought
Yeah.
provoking. Y'all heard
Yeah.
it first. That's
Yeah.
going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So, please let us know when that is available, because we definitely would love to support and promote and help in any way
Absolutely.
we can to get the word out about what you're doing. And so I'm gonna ask you this question because we're about to wrap. Again, these interviews, we need to make sure that you go about your day. But I got a question for you.
Yes.
When did you fall in love with hip hop?
Oh man. Woo. Wow. Oh man. How old was I? Oh man. I was a shorty. I had to be I had to be 9, 8 years old.
Yeah.
I would say about 8 years old. I fell in love with hip hop. I mean, that's I used to just sit in front of the radio for hours and hours and hours and just listen to hip hop all day long. That's all I wanted to do. I remember I was getting on my parents' nerves because I would play it loud. My father bought me headphones, and I would just sit down and just listen to it all day. Mr. Magic's Rap Attack, and that whole era of hip hop for me was absolutely incredible. It was something that influenced me for the rest of my life.
Wow. And it has, because you're walking it and you're living it and all of the things, and you look the part. You look hip hop, brother. Let's talk about that just for a moment. We're gonna put that up on the screen and let people see you are hip hop.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
exude it,
No,
right?
I am.
Yeah.
I'm definitely hip hop without question.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, listen, Omarr, we do not want to keep you. We know that you're a busy man. You out here, you making things move. But listen, folks, if you want to find out exactly where to find Omarr Salgado. You will follow him on social media at Omarr A. Salgado, all over social media. Y'all, you will find out what he's got going on, what he's moving towards, and all of the things. I would absolutely start following him so you can find out when those big projects are going to drop. Now, last words from you, sir. What words of advice would you give for the next 50 years of hip hop to those of us who are still around?
Keep elevating, keep keep creating, keep trend setting, just continue on, move forward. That's always my motto. That's just moving forward in life, period. And I think that's what hip hop needs to do. I think we need to embrace what's new. Mm-hmm. and if we do have an issue with it, then let's help guide that that generation as to what the right thing needs to be. Versus criticizing them and kind of counting them out, because at the end of the day, this youth they're going to be running the world at some point, right? So we want to kind of try to set an example for them as much as possible. So yeah, I would just say keep moving forward, keep shining,
moving forward to the next 50 years of hip hop. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Mr. Omarr A. Salgado. Thank you so much for joining us here in the Brownstone with us today for 50 years of hip hop and how you fell in love with the art. We want to thank you once again, everybody, for taking a listen and watching our Brownstone's Best Business Review for the 50 years of hip hop edition. Keep it locked right here to cityscaperadio.com, brownstoneworldwide.com, and Brownstone Living Magazine for more on hip hop in the Brownstone. We'll see you around. Mr. Salgado, stick around for me.